I don't like a pushy salesman. I don't want someone pushes something on me. I'm definitely not gonna do that to my clients, right? Like I go in houses all the time and tell people like, I wouldn't buy this house. I don't think it's a good buy. And I think that is a big part of the reason too. A lot of people refer people to me because they appreciate that. They feel like I'm truly like, looking out for their best interests.
Yeah. We started High Value for the people that find value in building your business, your family, and your faith without sacrificing any of the three. We feel like business, family, and faith go hand in hand, and you don't have to separate any of the three. In fact, to build anything of high value, they have to go together.
High Value.
Welcome to the High Value Podcast, where we talk about how to build your business, your family, and your faith without sacrificing any of the three. Today we have on Mr. Drew Harris. Drew, how you doing?
Great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, Drew, who are you and what do you do?
So my name is Drew Harris. I'm a local realtor, but beyond that, I think I'm someone who just really cares about the community. I serve on a couple of different roles on boards for the YMCA and then Central Washington Legal Aid. So about 7 years ago, I switched from college coaching at Central Washington University to come be a real estate agent. Something I always wanted to do since I want to say about middle school, high school, would be a real estate agent. But I had got an offer to coach shortly after playing college basketball. So I went and did that for some time and was associate head coach at Central Washington. But at that point, I just felt like it was time to go chase my dream of being a real estate agent. And I had also been volunteering at Rod's house on vacation and days off when I was at Central, and really just fell in love with doing the volunteer work. So it just seemed like a great time to come back to the city I grew up in and chase a dream of real estate and kind of mix that with my passion of volunteering and combine them both.
So at Central Washington, obviously you got into coaching. Was that initially what you always wanted to do, is move up the ranks and become a head coach? Like where did you start with that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I knew when I was younger I wanted to do real estate, but there was a point in playing college basketball where I thought, I'd be interested in coaching it. I think that was another way to just, feel that passion of basketball, right? So, when I finished up playing, I signed with an agent to play professional overseas, and I got a couple of offers, but I had a lot of just nagging injuries that bothered me for years, and I feel like I couldn't really go there and give my all. I didn't want to go over there just to say I went over there, right? For me, I think getting those offers kind of satisfied that dream of playing overseas too and playing professionally. Just getting those offers, like I knew I got them, but I just felt like it wasn't the best move to go over there. I wasn't going to be able to give my all, and it just seemed like it was a better idea just to kind of get my career started. Instead of going over there some years and coming back maybe in 5 and then trying to get the career started. So, when I finished playing, came back here for a year, helped out at Ike and substitute taught, and then they asked me to go up there and coach at Central. And then I moved up very fast. Faster than a normal college coach at that level of program does. I moved up to head assistant my second year. And then I think I was 25 when I became the associate head coach. I didn't honestly really plan on being there that long. I think I was there 6 years, but moving up so fast and just having a lot of responsibility and getting to have a lot of say in that program, it was fun and it was a good experience. I feel like I was able to impact a lot of kids' lives. There was a lot of young men that I recruited from different parts of the United States that I brought in, and maybe they didn't have a father figure or great mentorship in our life. I feel like I was able to serve not just as a basketball coach, but as a mentor, a big brother, and really help a lot of them, I feel like, get across that line and graduate and become great young men.
It's funny, I obviously see your social media and things like that, and I see the interaction you have with some of your former players, because some of them now are head coaches themselves or high school and things like that. What you can tell that you have made an impact in their lives. What do you think it was that you relayed to them that allowed them to become successful head coaches and just men in general? I
think, I just always preached off the court as well. and just being well-rounded.
Yeah.
I think one thing academically I just always push for, just passing the play is not going to be enough.
Yeah,
you know, and that's what I think a lot of, unfortunately, there's a good amount of athletes that do think that, you know, they just want to pass and just to get to a point where they can be on the court. So for me, it was just pushing in to be great, and there's a lot of guys that I recruited there that just barely made it there and didn't have great grades, but I think one of my proudest moments was there had so many guys that by the time they maybe came into as transfers from junior colleges, and I remember some of those guys having like 2.3s and just doing enough to get there, right? To where I pushed them to excel and try to be great academically as well, and a lot of those guys were graduating with 3.0s or higher, and they were proud of themselves, and a lot of those guys now, they took that. I think what I really tried to instill was, anything you do, you got to try to do the best of your ability. And I think, to answer your question, that was the main thing I tried to instill in them. It's like, you want to be a great man to the best of your ability. You want to be a great student to the best of your ability. You want to be a great basketball player, all of that, and be well-rounded. It can't just be about basketball.
You're right.
Because at some point you're going to be a father, you're going to be an employee, you're going to have to be in those roles where, again, you're giving your all and you want to be the best you can be in everything you do. So it was cool. When I first started there, I think our team GPA was like low to mid 2s, right? But my last year, we were about 3.0.
Wow.
We had a very high graduation rate. Pretty much every single guy that came through there when I was there graduated. So I took a lot of pride in that.
That's great.
I was honestly, I got to a point where, and I love basketball, but for me, like helping them grow into great young men off the court was, I would say just as important, or probably definitely more, I would say even more important for me just to see that. And it's cool because so many of them now will reach out and be like, now I get why you said that, or why you held me to that standard, right? I see them going to be great coaches or employees or dads, and it's fun to watch them online. There's two of my former players now have won state championships, so it's cool to see that. And like I said, I just follow them being great dads, which is also really cool to see.
So you talked about you wanted to instill that they could do things to the best of their ability, right? Did you see that they struggled early on with figuring out what the best of their ability was?
Yeah, I would say so. I think that, again, as an athlete, often it's so many of them are just so focused on being great on the court. And there's a balance, right? It's also, it can be hard for to figure out how to balance basketball and life and being a student. So I think that was something that I learned early on from Joe Calero, who was a coach of mine at Seattle U. I thought it was really cool because his job was to coach. His job was on the line, right? So you think of some coaches who just drill basketball, but
gotta win.
I thought he did a really good job of just, impressing the importance of being a good, just friend and teammate and like student and just person in the community. I think he did a good job of just preaching how to find that balance and just saying, it's not all about basketball, because at some point, when you're done with this, you're going to have different roles in life that are bigger than basketball.
Right. I feel like the job of a coach is just much more than people think. Like we'll get into real estate.
No, you're good.
But
I love it.
That's such an important aspect of life too, and trying to build things. And that's kind of what we talk about here too, is how to build these things. But then with coaching, you have the responsibility of building people as well. And there's just so many personalities that you're around when you're a coach, and you're responsible for all these guys that come from, guys or gals that come from different backgrounds, and different beliefs. And then, you're responsible for them as students, because if they aren't getting the grades, they can't play. So, you obviously care about that, but then you develop the relationship. There's much more to it. That's a really tough job. Obviously, I coach high school girls basketball too, and that's what we talk about too, is being excellent on the court, obviously, but being an excellent friend, being an excellent student, being an excellent just a woman overall, right? And that's hard to do, and the people that can do it well and get people to buy in, they have a true skill. And I feel like that's something that you've had some success in.
Yeah. Like I said, I took a lot of pride in that, and especially because we had guys from Vegas, California, just different places in the United States, or even on the West Side, right? And those parents were sending their kids there and entrusting that I will take care of them, right?
Right.
So it was like I had like
Take care of my baby.
it was kind of like I had like 15 kids, and I think often it's funny because people ask me how do you handle so many deals at once in real estate?
Yeah.
But I'm like, when I was a coach, I had 15 kids that I feel like I was in charge of, and so they were texting me 7 days a week, 7 days a week, and at nighttime. So it's similar to real estate, where it's like I'm having to manage a lot at that point. Checking on them in classes and making sure they're good, because there's guys that maybe you're gonna have bad days, you got to love on them a little bit more, and and guys that maybe struggle a little bit more academically, and you're having to check on their classes a little bit more, right, and be on them. So I think there was a lot to manage there, and again, with the parents, trusting that we're going to take care of them. I didn't take that lightly.
Well, we're talking about success, so let's move into what you're actually doing now. Okay. So real estate. What about real estate did you find attractive? Because you talked about early on, you always knew you wanted to get into real estate. Yep. What about real estate was attractive to you?
Yeah, so I grew up on the east side of town, what people would consider the hood, and my parents were hardworking individuals. And I want to say in middle school, my mom read Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
And that kind of changed her outlook. At that point, they didn't have any rentals, but my mom was also someone who was very involved in the community. Mm-hmm. She was on a lot of community boards and things, and she hated slumlords. She was always very big into trying to improve the east side, and the houses around us. So she looked at it kind of twofold, where once she read that book, well, we can buy some investment property, one for retirement, but two, we're going to buy property around our house, our neighborhood, and then uplift them, give them remodels, and just take care of them. So I watched her do that, and then she used Marie Makita, who ended up being my first boss when I got into real estate, to buy those properties. And I really like the idea of there's not a cap, right? Like what you put in, it could be what you get out of it. Whereas maybe like coaching, you have a set pay essentially. No matter how you could, there was one of the last years at Central, we put so much into it, and we had 4 or 5 guys get hurt. Out of our control. That we kind of struggled. Right. Whereas again, there's a cap on what you're going to get paid there. So I like the aspect of the commission part of it was something that really attracted me, and then just helping people. I think those two things was really big to me. Is I like to help people, serve people, and then the commission part of it. So I watched Marie walked into that process, and again, it's just something that really attracted me. I kind of knew at that point. Mm-hmm. But then Marie became my mom's client. My mom cut hair. So I would regularly start seeing Marie. I'd go out to the salon. My mom had her own salon behind her house, and Marie would be there, and we'd have a conversation about real estate. And she'd always tell me, I think you'd be great at real estate, but I'm not going to push you to do it. Whenever that day comes, you just let me know. And the day came, and I was really close to actually moving to Seattle to do real estate. I basically found an office, was really close to signing a lease for a rental. Wow. But at that point, I had been volunteering in Yakima, and I was just praying a lot and meditating. I got into meditating, and it was just a lot of clarity came to me. One day I woke up and I was just like, why would I move to Seattle and do real estate? Yes, I could volunteer over there, but it wouldn't be the same as going back to the community I was from and trying to have an impact and volunteer. And at that point, I was very much involved at Rod's house and just loved those kids that were there, and I just couldn't see myself leaving. Mm-hmm. So it just made sense. I was like, well, I could go get more involved in the community I grew up in. But two, I would have Marie as a mentor, someone I know I could trust. I've known for a long time, who I know is going to steer me the right way. And that's kind of how it ended up being where I am. Right,
and that's got to be tough because Seattle's a bigger market, right? So you're selling multi-million-dollar homes. I mean, not everyone all the time, but there's a lot more opportunity out there. So did you have to consider that a little bit when you were making that decision? And you felt like the tug for the community was bigger than kind of the money that you could make over there, maybe?
Yeah, I weighed the pros and cons, and actually, like the company that I was set up with over there was gonna be commercial.
Okay. Wow.
Which obviously commercial there is just
a
lot of money in the commercial side over there, and it was a great company. But yeah, that definitely came to mind, and it is helpful being in the community where you're from when it comes to real estate, right?
Yeah.
As far as referrals and things. But I just kind of weighed the pros and cons, and just the Seattle life. I mean, when I was there at Seattle U, I think it was a good experience, but also just like the traffic and the rain. I wasn't a huge fan of that. So it's like I said, one day kind of clarity just came. It's like it just makes more sense to go back to Yakima to do it.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing real estate now?
7 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when did you get to a point in your career where you're like, okay, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. I love this. I'm good at it. When did you figure that out?
Real estate is a business where, like, I mean, Marie told me plan on for 5 years not making consistent money. Yeah, she's like, she's like, plan on. I hope you're good with your money. Yeah. So when I first moved here, I started I substitute taught my first year just to kind of supplement it. I was in the office a lot and doing everything I can at nighttime and on the weekends, open houses and things. But I also would substitute teach just to kind of have some guaranteed money to pay some of the bills. But I was a little bit of an anomaly. I mean, my first year, I sold, I think, 24 houses, right? So I ended up doing well my first year, and then from there, it's only went up pretty much every single year. But still, those first few years, and all the way up, honestly, it's even the last couple of years, even though I was selling a lot of houses, you have those times when it's something like it's commission-based, right? You might, those winter months where it's slower, December, January. I mean, it's funny, like I said, all the way up to like the last couple of years, I was like, I tell myself, like, this is normal, like December, January is going to be a little bit slower. But I used to be like, I remember those first few years, you had those December, January months where it's slower, and I'm like, man, wait, is this for me? I don't know. Like, this is where it ends.
This is where I draw the line.
This is where it ends. But I just kind of try to keep the faith and the confidence, that I had going into it. Because when I went into it, there's so many people who told me, "You're crazy. Why would you switch, a salary job like coaching to a commission?" And I was like, I bet on myself. And so many of those people now come back to me and they're like, dang, man, I can't believe I told you that. Now look at you,
Yeah, right,
so,
right.
Like I said, I just try to keep the belief in myself and the faith. I'm a firm believer in God, and I'm thankful for what He's provided.
Yeah. Do you feel like there was something that you did differently in your first year? Like, what were your systems that allowed you to sell 24 houses in your first year? Because that's not normal for most people. Like, they probably sell 5.
I want to say like the state average is around 5.
Yeah.
And I think there was a thing where, like last year, maybe 60 or 70% of agents in the United States didn't sell a house or didn't sell a house, So it's like a lot of agents don't really sell much. It's top heavy. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, right.
So I was just grinding, man. I just locked in. At that point, I didn't have, a girlfriend or a kid, so it was all work, right? I was all over the place. I was just doing everything I can to learn, job shadow people, in the office, just do all open houses I can. Was when I was out in the community, just letting people know that's what I did. But I think I definitely tell people I had an advantage because I played basketball here. Yeah. I think that that helped because I didn't know a good amount of people when I was getting into it. Yeah. So I had a good network, I think from the start because of that. There was a lot of people who supported me when I went to college to play basketball. I had people who come and watch games when I was coaching at Central who just continued to follow me. Who I'm just so thankful for, man, because they supported me, in every role I've kind of been in my life. I can't thank them enough. So that helped, just because I had a name out there from playing basketball that knew a lot of people. Yeah. So that helped too, but I was grinding, man, day and night for sure. I was also I was doing basketball trainings, so I was in front of a lot of people from just being in just different roles in the community at that point. But at the end of the day, it's just grinding, day and night. Like I said, being in the office, at any hour, being willing to serve my clients. Tony Andrews, I joke because we started out around the same time, and he's a great lender. He's one of the top lenders in the game. And there was a point where we were talking about a client at 4 a.m. on the phone. So like today we talk about something today. So like we always say, we'll grind for you any time. There's one time we had 4 a.m. So I got a lot of respect for him because I think he's the same way too.
Yeah. Wow. So you just talked about part of your success was your network, and early on, obviously, you had to lean on your network to kind of gain your success. Do you think some people struggle with tapping into their network? Let's say they're starting a new business, new career. For you, like real estate, it's your own business basically.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you started your own business with nothing.
Yeah.
And people are going to experience the same thing. So the people that kind of follow us are people in their first 5 years.
Yeah.
Do you feel like people are reluctant to tap into their network because they're like a little bit insecure about it and they're new and you know what I'm saying? Like they don't feel comfortable like telling people what they do because they're not like great at it yet. Like how did you kind of get over that hump?
Yeah. So one thing Marie did before I even started, before you have your first day, you need to come to me with a list of your database. Okay. Names, emails, phone numbers. So I just reached out to a lot of people online, texted them, hey, can I get this? Create a database. And I think one thing I learned early on, she would say, and I would hear a lot just from reading, is that like, I think so often when you start a business, you just think naturally your friends and family are going to support you, but you got to stay top of mind, right?
Yeah.
So I think just reaching out to them, staying consistently, just reaching out, maybe sending them, note cards or information about real estate. I think also just being active on social media help, having a lot of friends and family on there. Because I think you just naturally think people are going to send you, but often they're forgetting about you. Maybe when that someone is talking about real estate or pressure washing, right? It's like it might not come to mind if you haven't talked to them in a while, right? So I think just trying to stay top of mind with my friends and family is important. And again, social media, I think was a big help in doing that. But I've always been, big on like with the social media things, like not just all business, right? Just, I also like to share family, share the volunteer work I do, so people will have a good feel of truly who I am and who they're potentially working with if they're following me.
Yeah. Have your system changed over time? So early on, you had to grind, you had to make sure you're top of mind. Now you're a little bit more known around the community. Yeah. Have your systems changed to maybe stay on top of mind or continue to build your business?
No, I don't think so. I think that's is what happens sometimes with people. They do change, or they get content, right?
Yeah.
So I think I've tried to just stay consistent with what I do, and if anything, just up it even more, right? And trying to serve people even better, and just continuing to try to be top of mind. I think now, when I started out early on, it was friends and family who were, supporting my business, and now it's like I've helped so many people over the years that now I also have a separate database of really past clients that maybe weren't originally friends and family, but have became friends and like family. So now it's like a whole new sphere of influence, I feel like, because they're now also referring people to me.
Right.
So it's definitely expanded over time, where it's helped, where I think kind of keep my business more steady, where I don't have too many lows, because I have so many people who refer people to me now.
Yeah.
And that's helped to stay consistent. But I think you have to still do those things that got you there.
Yeah.
You can't. I'm really big on that. Like, just because I'm busy, I'm not gonna love on my clients or provide a good service, or do those things just because I'm busy. This is not how I am.
Right. I would say in business too, it's easier. Well, it's more efficient to sell to the people that are you already have relationships with.
Gosh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And again, those people turn into salespeople, so more people naturally come. But I just think it's so important to your point is to nurture the people that have already done business with you or are doing business with you, because those are the people that already giving you a chance. They already trust you, and then you figure out how to better serve them. Yeah. And then what naturally happens, I'm sure as you've seen, it just explodes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we are in our business too. It's like you're always trying to turn and burn and work hard to get more customers. And it's like, man, I feel like the more important thing is to serve people better. Serve the people that you have in your circle.
Exactly.
Better.
I know. Yeah, I get a lot of agents that ask me how do you what's the best way? And I'm like, first things first, just provide a great service. in that experience you have with them, and then afterwards, love on them, still be there for them after the transaction's over.
Yeah.
I just don't. There's a lot of people who I think just don't do that.
Yeah.
Who don't do both those things.
Right.
So I just think that's key, honestly, and just doing it genuinely, man. I'm big on I'm not going to join a board that's something I'm not passionate about. I'm not going to be a part of a volunteer project I'm not passionate about. I'm not going to donate to someone that I believe in, right? And it's just I just believe in just doing things genuinely and just transparently and just kind of just leading with God. I don't like a pushy salesman. I don't want someone pushing something on me. So I'm definitely not going to do it to my clients, right? I go in houses all the time and tell people I wouldn't buy this house. I don't think it's a good buy. And I think that is a big part of the reason too a lot of people refer people to me because they appreciate that. They feel like I'm truly looking out for their best interests. I just believe if you do things the right way, it's all going to come around one way or the other, right? I believe God and karma and good energy, so I just really try to just be genuine with everything I do, and I feel like that pays off a ton.
Yeah. So do you think the genuine relationships that you've built obviously build trust? Would you say trust is probably one of the most important things to build a business?
Oh, yeah.
Around?
I think so. I think definitely. Especially in what I do, right? I mean, these are going to be the biggest purchases and sales in most people's lives, right? You're dealing with a lot. So, I don't take it lightly at all because like I said, for most people, this is going to be the biggest purchase and sales.
Yeah.
So, there has to be a high level of trust there.
Right.
And like I said, I think what you were saying is that when people refer to you, there's often almost an instant trust versus someone random who doesn't know you. So that helps a lot when you're having referrals come in for clients versus random people who don't know you, have no connection to you, or not referred to you.
Right.
So there's always a lot more trust for friends, family, and good referrals.
Right.
But now I get to a point where it's like I have a lot of people from out of state that read my reviews online and they reach out, and it seems like they even trust me just from kind of reading through all the reviews, right?
Yeah, right.
So I do get a lot of clients that come in, and I think which I'm truly thankful for. Pretty much all my clients typically leave reviews afterwards, and that has helped a lot too, just with getting clients who are moving here from out of state, and just kind of having some instant trust too.
Right. So speaking of trust, you are trusted by a little girl.
Yeah.
You have a daughter. How old is she now?
3.5. 3.5. You got to throw that half in there.
Don't miss the half. Come on, Dad. I'm old now. So she's come into your life 3.5 years ago. What's that been like as far as being a first-time dad and then having this thriving business? What's been your experience with that?
Yeah, it's been good. And I think it goes back to finding that balance. Now you're finding a new balance, and before I could run around day and night and do whatever, work-wise and volunteer-wise, and not have to worry about. Whereas since I've had her, I'm like, okay, I cut out the trainings. Wasn't able, as soon as I had her, wasn't doing basketball trainings anymore. Wasn't something that I needed to do for the money-wise at the point. I just enjoyed doing it. Yeah. So, but I know I needed to cut back time to try to find time with her. I've also been better about saying no when people are asking to join boards or helping out with me with a volunteer project. So those are things that I know she appreciates, even though she doesn't fully understand. But Kirsten, my fiance, definitely does, because she understands it, right? So just trying to find the balance. And one thing I've definitely got better about is, because as I age, I'm working day and night often. Is that when I come home, I usually come home either during the day or at a point at nighttime, where I let Kirsten at that point go to the gym and kind of have the time for herself, because she stays at home with Saya. And that time when I'm home for especially those couple hours, is just putting the phone away. And we'll play, or sometimes we'll go to the park, and I'll just leave the phone at the house when we go to the park, or we'll just do a smoothie date. We'll go get a smoothie and play games, and just leaving it there. So the temptation's just not even there. It's kind of outside of the mind, right? And that has really been good to do that, just to kind of have that one-on-one time. So I feel like I've been better about just doing that while I'm spending time with her.
Right. So do you then create systems around that as far as like, okay, this is Saya time, this is business time, so you create systems to make sure things don't overlap and get confused?
Yep. And it, like I said, it varies. Like sometimes there might be a break in the day where I'm able to get home during the day and do that with her. And sometimes it's, it's a long day. There's no gaps long enough to get there and give Kirsten like adequate time to actually go work out and have that time alone. So sometimes it's at the end of the day, but regardless, like I'm gonna make that time happen. Just so we get that time together, and also it's important for Kirsten too to have that time as well. So definitely make sure that happens each day, and because I don't want to be someone who's just like, you hear about dads that maybe just work and make good money, but then they're just maybe buying a gift or something to try to, and they're not there present. That's that's not going to fly. So I heard. On that podcast I was talking to you about, there was a dad on there, and he said presence over perfection. And I really like that. Just trying to be as present as possible. You're never going to be the perfect dad, but trying to be present, I think is really important. That's really stuck in my mind.
I feel like we have a tough job as dads and business owners because we have to toe this fine line of building something for them. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing. We have to make money. We've got to invest. We got to do this stuff so that they can have a better future. But you also still have to be, like you're talking about, still present and have that time, because at the end of the day, like, you're just dad to them. Right now they have no idea what you're doing. No idea what you're doing. So it's just a tough, like, it's just a tough limbo between, like, okay, like finding the times and that's why I say, like, I always feel like systems is like the best thing to do, and in business those systems are what make a great business, but I think you can apply those same systems in a family to make sure like it's a great family too, and make sure you have that time. And it's harder, like, again, when being a real estate agent, because people want to see houses sometimes, after that work, or like, yesterday was a holiday and I had a very busy day. Saturdays and Sundays. So, and which I follow your page. I see you go. I know sometimes 1 a.m. watching stuff. So you get it, right? I get it.
Preaching to the choir.
I get
it. So obviously we have a little bit more unique schedules than some, but it's just about making it work and trying to find that balance and again, systems. But I feel like I've definitely been able to get better and better about making that work with her and being present and making sure to block out that time for her and the family.
Right. Did you guys, you and Kirsten, your fiance, did you guys always talk about her being home with Saya? Was that because of your job and how busy you had to be, and you wanted to make sure she got time with a parent? Like, what was your thought with that?
So no, originally when we first met, she had planned on being a teacher, and I was going to be a real estate agent. I was a real estate agent at that point. I was 1 year in when we met. And we'd always say, well, okay, you get the health benefits, because as a teacher, you get benefits, and I'll try to go out and get the income. And so originally, when we had her, Saya, the plan was that Kirsten would stay at home for maybe I think it was about a year or two. No more than 2 years is what we kind of had planned for. And I honestly, just growing up, my mom, she cut hair, right? And from a young age, she was at work. My dad was at work. I'd, stay with my grandparents, go to daycare, or preschool, or stay with one of my grandparents. So I was used to seeing my mom work. So I think transparently, that's what I was almost expecting. And while I was wanting her to go to work, at that point, after a couple of years. But then a couple of years came, and it's just Saya, I just see how much she's grown, and just from being one-on-one with her all day, right? I mean, I come home, Saya's legit cutting vegetables. They're out there planting stuff in the garden, and just her vocabulary just from getting that one-on-one with mom all day, and just knowing the safety of her being there at home with her. And also, again, with my job, it's sometimes I do maybe have an hour break in the day where I can run home, whereas if she's at daycare, I wouldn't be able to see her, get that time with her. So with my schedule, I just came to a realization like this is great, you know, like again, it just wasn't what I was used to. I was used to seeing my mom work from such a young age, but then you know, Kirsten's just like, yeah, she's just young, she's only gonna be young once, I would really like to stay home with her. And like admittedly, like I would say it's I can, like I said, I just over time it's like, yeah, this is definitely the right decision. I'm so happy that she has continued to stay home with her. And like I said, I think it's really worked out for the best. So it's something that now looking back on, I'm really glad that we have kept her home with her. It's been great.
Yeah, you know, I've talked to several other people, and we do the same thing. Mariah stays home now.
Yeah.
And I've talked to several people that are doing that, and it seems like that continuously comes up to where like that is just a huge benefit for the mom to be home.
Yeah.
You know, if you can do it, and so. Again, with this podcast, we're going to be talking to people that are, you know, business owners or aspiring business owners. I feel like, I guess, what would you say? Would you say that's something to work towards? Like, you find extreme value in it to where you would recommend someone do that if they had the ability to do so?
I think so. I mean, it's probably also situational. I mean, there's, you know, Kirsten really wanted to be home with Saya, right? Yeah. She wanted to be there. She like I said, she's young. You know, I don't want to miss out on these years. I want to be there, the one help molding her. But then I also talked to moms who are like, I couldn't stay home. Like, I wouldn't want to. You know, I want to get back to work. I go crazy. Yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong with either way.
Sure.
So I think it's just what works best. You know, for you and your family, right? This is what works best for us, and again, especially with my schedule too. So then it's like being able to come home and see them. So yeah, I see a lot of benefit in it, but I think it's something that's going to be situational for your family.
Yeah. As you continue to build this business that you have, what do you hope that Saya learns from you in this process?
I think just to give. You know, I'm a giver. I think hard work. One. Before I had Saya, I'm a big book reader, and I read a book, Mindset, and it's just talking about how important it is to really preach, you know, hard work. So instead of maybe saying like, oh, you're so smart, it's, oh, you work so hard. You know, not something that you're just born with or it's set, because if you do that, then when something hard comes up, you know, you're going to throw in the towel because you haven't, you know, created this mindset where it's like anything, you know, any challenge you come across, you can work and get through it, or, you know, you can work and learn a new hobby or, you know, a new skill. If you've always been told, you know, you're just so smart, then you just think in your head that's something that's just almost a natural thing. So yeah, years ago, that's something that stood in my brain that is like, I never forget that, you know, I was like, whenever I have a kid, I just want to make sure I impress that on them, that, you know, it's that you can do anything, right? And it comes down to hard work, and you can learn new things. And so that's something I want her to take away, you know, from what I do. It's just that she sees me working hard, but also just being a giver. Again, that's the volunteer part. She might not understand it now, but at some point, you know, she will. She'll see how much I try to give to the community in time, energy, and money. I donate. One thing that's really cool is like I've paired my business with my volunteer work and love for the community. So I donate a portion of every commission from every home bought or sold through me to various local nonprofits, right? And it's cool because even though I'm doing it, I feel like the family's giving, like, you know, Kirsten's giving, Saya's giving. And so that's something that I think when she gets older, it will be something that she can be proud of, and she'll take that. I worked hard, but I made sure just not to work hard for us, but also to give. Before I met Kirsten, or before I had Saya, there was a point where I was like transitioning from Central, and I just kind of told myself, you know, I'm going to put my head down. I didn't have a lot financially, but I told myself I was going to put my head down and grind to get to a spot where when I do have a family, you know, we can live comfortably, and then two, that I'm able to give. I always wanted to be able to try to give back to the community, again, not just in time and energy, but money as well. So I'm glad that, you know, as she grows up, she'll be able to see that and take that from what I'm doing with my business by, again, not just out here trying to make money, but trying to give back to the community in many ways. So yeah, it was cool. Last year, OIC awarded me with their Community Impact Award for the year. I was selected as a person for the year, and Kirsten Asadi came and I was on stage and she was just cheering, "Go Daddy," you know, so that was cool. Like, so she didn't understand why I was up there.
Sure.
But to hear her, you know, cheering and saying, "Go Daddy," is like, it was cool. It was like, it made it, you know, it was just like, you know, one day she'll really fully understand it. But it was just still cool in my mind that, you know, she just, you know, it almost seemed like she understood by the way she was like celebrating.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, let's dig into that a little bit more then. So, we were just talking off camera. Like, I feel like you have a new listing every week. Yeah. You know? You're just crushing it, and obviously you have found some success from a business standpoint and monetarily. Let's just be honest, right?
Yeah.
And so with that, you know, you have chosen to give back a lot to our community. So. Why do you think it's important for you and in general to, if you have had some success monetarily, why is it important to give back to the community that you're in?
Yeah, I think one, again, I just care about people. I like love. I mean, it's, if I see someone and there's opportunity, I can help them. That really makes me feel good to be able to help them and uplift somebody in a way of whether that's money or, you know, just bringing a good positive, you know, light to their day. So that's just, I think, in me. But two, I think also like as a business owner, with the community supporting us, right, coming to purchase our goods or use us for a service, I think it's kind of whack if you're just, you know, making money off the community in ways, but you're not giving back to the community.
Wow.
In my mind, that's just kind of whack, right? Yeah. And just in general, I've always thought like, what a life if I'm just making, you know, a lot of money, good money, and I die and I didn't get back. Like, what type of legacy is that? You know, what type of person is that? I mean, I just made money and went in, you know, bought dumb things and took crazy vacations, but I didn't use any of that to help other people. A big thing too is like, I believe that God is blessing me, so it's just, you know, a right for me to try to bless someone else. Yeah. And that's, you know, first and foremost, I would say. So I just think it's really important that we give back to the community.
Yeah. And you're obviously involved in other nonprofits and things like that. What attracts you to the nonprofits around Yakima? Why have you kind of devoted a lot of your time to really several of the nonprofits?
Yeah.
So, because you're part of several boards, or
two now.
Oh, so yeah, okay. 'Cause you were doing a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, again, it kind of came back to just, you know, just not overdoing it, just have time.
Yeah, so it's scale back a little bit. So, good for you.
Yeah, I mean, it started with Rod's house and just being involved there. You know, when I started there, that was when I was at Central. We had 2 full-time workers and just a resource center. So it was, you know, it's been fun. It was fun to see, you know, that. So we went from 2 full-time workers, the resource center, to offering, you know, a few resources like jobs and food and things, to, you know, now having a spot in Sunnyside and having an admin space, and then opened the multi-million-dollar beautiful shelter that we created where the youth and young adults can actually live. So to, you know, now I believe they probably have over 60 workers, right? So at the end of last year, I stepped off the board just because I put so much into it. And for me, I'd worked on that project for the new building for a long time. I mean, that was a 5-year project. And so it just kind of felt like they were in a good spot. And I just feel like I thought I did everything I was supposed to do there. So at that point, I stepped off, joined the YMCA board, and then joined Central Washington Legal Aid. But I think it was during my time at Rod's house, I just realized like how important the nonprofits are. And I got to learn about a lot of different nonprofits too, and see really what they do in the community. And gosh, like if it wasn't for the nonprofits, in our community, a lot of people would be in a bad place.
Really?
Because there's so many different ones that do different things. You know, I'm a big fan of YWCA. You know, that does so much for domestic violence victims, and there's just obviously the mission. There's a lot of good ones. So yeah, I just saw the importance of it, and that's why, you know, it's just really important to me to serve on the boards I do. And like I said, ones I'm passionate about. And then I take part in like just sometimes different projects outside of boards. So we did Miller Park. So I was one of the kind of founding members of that. So we went out and raised money and remodeled Miller Park for the east side of Yakima, especially. But you get people all over who go there and use those courts, right? But I mean, that was a park that was neglected. So that felt good. I mean, that was somewhere where I grew up playing basketball. I grew up 3 blocks away from there. So that was a big one. And then I'm a part of a mentorship program, Opportunity Knox, which gives scholarships to students at Stanton. So I've been on part of that selection committee and mentoring a kid through there, and just some different different projects. I'm in Rotary, so Rotary is consistently doing different projects in the community. So I've just taken a love for just the community work, honestly. And again, I think I get a lot of times people ask me I want to get involved in the community, but I don't know how. It's just you got to find something that just go online and browse different nonprofits in Yakima. You got to find something that you're passionate about, right? Because this, after a long day of work, and you have maybe some emails come through for board work, or you have a board meeting. It has to be something you're passionate about to get that energy, right? So everything I do, I'm passionate about. People ask me how do you sleep? I feel like I get a good amount of sleep, but I'll work. I'll go all day and night, but everything I'm doing, I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about my work. I'm passionate about my community work. I'm passionate about my family, right? So all those things fuel me to be able to do those things. So again, I get a lot of people ask me I want to get involved in the community, but I don't know how. There's so many ways. You don't have to have a lot of money to give back, right? I remember when I was at Rod's house, one cool thing was we did Wish List Wednesdays, which was we'd ask for some things like socks or toothpaste, and the YWCA is like that too. There's a lot of different nonprofits where you can volunteer your time. You can, donate small amounts, of money just to go get little items. You can share this stuff online, and there's a lot of different ways that you can give back. I think it's just, again, trying to find the nonprofits in town that align with you and, that you could be passionate about. Or else it just doesn't work if you're not.
Right. Do you see a lot of business owners involved in nonprofits?
There's a good amount you'd see on boards.
Okay.
So I think there's a good amount that are involved in nonprofits and support nonprofits. Nonprofits have fundraisers each year, so you'll see a lot of businesses support that. And there's a good amount of business owners that are involved with nonprofits in different ways, whether that's being on the board or again donating or just helping out, volunteering some time. But most definitely.
Well, finishing up a little bit, wrapping up a little bit, there's something that I wanted to talk about. It's a little more practical, and you've chosen to do it as far as invest in real estate. And that's obviously you kind of hear it everywhere, right? Get into real estate, buy rentals, things like that. What has been your experience in rentals, and how do you get into investing into rentals if business owners or people in their careers want to?
My experience has been great. I think my mom and dad, help really kind of put that idea in my head when I was young. That was another kind of part of wanting to be a real estate agent, is I knew I would also be able to be very knowledgeable about it. I knew I wanted to buy rentals like my parents. So that was something I always wanted to do. And for me, I always say, when I buy a new property, I say I'm buying one for Saya.
I always say that.
I was
Saya's new property.
Saya's new property, right? Because ultimately, it's going to be for her. I'm going to leave these to her. And I grew up in the hood, right? And so I'm trying to create generational wealth. Something where you don't see a lot of times growing up in the hood. Whereas just creating a generational wealth to where when she's older, she has that. So that's my thought process always, is I don't even think really so much to buy these properties for me to make a bunch of income off of them right now. It's more so down the road.
Long term.
So I tell people, I think a lot of people have this mindset where I'm gonna buy a rental property. Hopefully I make $1,000 a month off of it. That's just not realistic most of the time.
Really?
Even if you're making, they say, I've talked to some of the best, I feel investors in town, and they've said, even if you're making a couple $100 a month off a rental property, but you have a tenant paying your mortgage down, you're using it as a write-off. A couple $100 is still a couple $100, right? and then it's growing equity. Essentially, there's 4 ways you win with investment property. So those are 4 ways, because there's a lot of good tax benefits of it. So I think just going into that mindset, once you have your primary home, I think it's always good to try to get into buying an investment property and just reaching out to a lender or myself and trying to get that ball rolling. But I think it is good to slowly buy investment property again, not even if you're making a ton of money off of them. But like the long term, because there's investment property that I have where it's like I bought them with the idea not so much that I'm going to make a ton of money off of a month, but I knew basically the location that they're in, they're going to grow a great amount of value. I mean, I've had a couple where I bought them in a year, they're worth over $50,000 more, right? So it's like just the value. So there's a lot of different ways that you got to look at it, and not so much just like you're going to do it to make a lot of money off the rent, off the rent to what you have the mortgage on it. So there's different ways of doing it, though. I think again it kind of goes back to just like anything, like finding what works for you. There's people who buy investment property, get some, flip it, sell it, or flip it, then refinance it. For me, it's more so trying to get them paid down, so I don't usually pull money out of them or try to. I hold long term. I don't really do anything with flips, and that also comes down to time. I'm just as busy as I am. I don't want to go try to buy a property, manage flipping it, getting contractors out and things like that. So if I can just buy one and just have the tenant in there pay the the rent, which is essentially paying the mortgage, and not have to worry about them, then it works out. Like for me, I buy more so newer stuff, just so I'm not getting calls for repairs, right? So most of my properties, most of them are new construction, brand new, or I have pretty much all my single family are brand new. Then I have a triplex and a duplex I'm buying right now that weren't brand new, but they're in great shape. But when you kind of go in for something that's in higher quality or new construction, there's less repairs. So at most of my properties, I don't get any calls from my tenants. They're just they pay online and I'm not having to worry about much. Because I went that route. But then again, you might have someone who's like, I want to make more off the top. I'm not too worried about getting calls. I'm handy. I'll go do that. Well, one, I'm not handy, and two, I don't have the time. So that's just the route I go.
Work smarter, not harder.
So it's just what works best for me.
So people getting into, let's say they have a little bit of money. Like I have a friend who really wants to get into real estate. Where should they start? Like you kind of hear like the multifamilies, go multifamily. Then you're like, oh no, single family's fine. So where would you recommend people start investing?
And when I first started out, I read a book and it kind of gave the benefits of each, right? Sometimes single family, you're thinking more so people will stay there longer, is what I guess statistically it shows. Multifamily, often you can make a little bit more, I feel like, off the top. So it kind of goes back to also their situation, right? Like, multifamily typically is going to cost more to get. So where are you at financially? Are you able to? Multifamily down payment is more. It's 25% for multifamily if you're not living in it, whereas a single family is less. So also, again, it's going to be your situation financially. Multifamily are a little bit harder to find. They're not coming out on the market every day like a single family house, right? So for me, I've actually never been like, I'm gonna go out, because some people are like, oh, doors, I want to have doors. Well, my first place was a triplex, and then I bought 5 single family places before, and right now I'm buying a duplex. So I went, and bought 5 single family before I bought another multifamily, because it kind of came down to what was the best deal at that time. I was just more so looking what was going to be the best deal, getting maybe growing value. So I honestly never really put a focus on like doors. But again, everybody's different. So I would say get approved, see what you're approved for, and that will tell you a lot if you're going to go for a multifamily. Because then at that point, again, multifamily is going to be 25% down. If you're not living in it, then you're going to have more saved up.
Right.
So it varies. I think just talking to a lender and talking to me.
Yeah.
We'll get you there.
There you go. Well, Drew, is there anything else that you feel like people within our realm, people that want to be successful in their business, successful in their family and their faith, is there anything you feel like they should know?
I would just say, just do it. Like I mentioned earlier, just do it genuinely. Hard work, being genuine, putting faith first, and letting that just guide you.
Yeah.
You'll be all right if you do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you a question though.
Ask me a question. Okay, deal.
Because I'm always seeing you out.
Question my podcast.
Yeah. We're gonna switch it up. But actually, I follow you. I'm always seeing you out there. Doing Fred Meyers at different places at 1, 2, 3 in the morning and grinding and late. And so I know you get it. How do you do it? What fuels you to just keep going? Because obviously you have long hours and a lot going, and you're continuing to expand. But I'm a cheerleader, man. I see every time I see you out there, I'm like, man, another one. He got another contract, another one. Yeah, let's go. But like I said, I know with that comes a lot of work, right? A lot of long hours. So you have to have something that's fueling you. What fuels you? How do you do it? Like, what gets you up and going and continue just to get new contracts and just have the energy, the big thing, the energy to do those things and have those long days.
Right. I think it all starts with my wife, for sure. I don't think I could do any of what I do if I didn't have the wife I have. I always mess with Mariah. I couldn't marry anybody else because she, just like Kristen, she's meant to be home. She wants to be home. She wants to spend time with our kids. So part of what allows me to do that is not coming home to a wife that's nagging me. Or that doesn't get what I'm doing or why I'm doing it. Because her and I, we communicate a lot about what it takes to accomplish what we accomplish. I'm just in this phase of it. Drew, I know for sure over a long period of time, probably even after this year, I won't be doing that anymore. I don't need to, because what we're trying to do is, again, have the systems in place to where we can kind of remove myself out, but I am obsessed with developing something great. Okay. And I don't care about being great myself, but the business that we're creating, I need to make sure that the systems that we have produce greatness. So I didn't do a great job of that, honestly, up front. When you start a business, you're just like, I'm going to do this forever, I'm just going to be the one here. But now it's like, okay, if I want that time with my family back or want opportunities to do something with them, I need to make sure there's systems in place to where the greatness still goes further than me. And so that's kind of what I'm doing right now, is just developing the systems that allow for greatness. And then, again, we want to do a second location. We're working on one right now in Tri-Cities. So again, Ryan knows starting a whole new branch is going to take some time. It's going to take some effort. But she gets what I'm doing right now. It's basically just trying to pave the way, and get people on board and create a solid foundation as a business and create something that people want to be a part of, great people want to be a part of. And then that's kind of how we do it. That's what motivates me, though. I grew up kind of similar to you, where my dad, my biological dad, was never around, and I grew up always not feeling worthy. And I struggled with that for my whole entire life. And then I found some success in sports. And when that sports ended for me, it was the hardest thing ever, because my identity, I didn't know who I was. And I had no and so for me, I have finally found something that has given me purpose again. When I became a husband, when I became a dad. And so for me, what motivates me is I just won't fail. I will not fail, because I don't want to let them down. Because that's the biggest thing, but I don't want to let myself down. I don't want to let God down, because I know God has instilled a lot in me. And if I sit around and feel sorry for myself, then I'm not living out God's calling for my life. So to give you a long answer.
No, that's good.
That's kind of where I'm at right now.
That makes sense. So she understands that. I mean, this is a grind. You know, something that you're trying to build. It won't be forever that you're having to do these late nights. That's just part of how it goes. You're grinding really hard right now, and at some point you'll be able to kind of probably oversee things and step back a little bit and have some of that time back.
Yeah, and then pour into people, kind of like you talk about. That's something that that's why I wanted to jump into coaching initially, because I want to get your perspective on how you poured into people to help them become great.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I'm going to have to do down the road when I'm not at Fred Meyer at 3 a.m. because I'm not going to. I don't want to be.
Yeah.
I don't want to be. But then, how do you still develop people and pour into people to where, that's just where they are in life, and then get them out of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, if we can have 10 locations across the region, those people that are doing it, they're elevated into management, and then we just keep doing that, and we keep pouring back into people to where, again, you build this great business, but you've also built a bunch of people that did not believe that they could do this.
Yeah.
Too. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's cool too. I've never really thought a ton about that, but the identity thing of sports. Yeah, because it's you're known so much for sports when you're growing up, right? But that kind of made me think it is cool, now to have our, to be more so now known in the community, not so much maybe for basketball, but the work we're doing, or the men we are, this, how good we are to our family, or the business we've created. So it's cool to kind of create this new identity, I think, right? I think that is very cool.
Which impacts way more people, right? As a sport, it becomes a personal thing, right? You want to attain, and you want people to acknowledge you, and that's fine. I get that. And even now, I don't care about the praise, but it's cool to see people say oh man, I love what you're doing. Yeah. But now again, that's not what drives me anymore. But sports is such a great thing. I learned so many great things from sports, but I feel that's something we can do too. I mean, that's a whole different conversation. As parents and men, is to help our kids detach from that a little bit, to where you're probably working with side, because most likely maybe she will be, but maybe she won't be in the WNBA. She'll probably play sports. You play sports. She's athletic, but the stuff that we can teach them will give them way more skills to impact more people. If they're WNBA, sure, they'll impact some people, do some great things, but if they're a business owner or a nonprofit, a president, all this kind of stuff, and they're dialed in with their skills, and they're really good at that.
I know.
Impact goes way.
I know. I've thought that too before. I personally don't really care if she played sports at all. Especially these days with the atmosphere.
That's all
the atmosphere of sports. But I've thought about that too. And because even for me, people I was able to impact 15, young men at Central, but it's when I'm helping out at Rod's house, we were serving 300-400 kids a year, right? Yeah. So it's there was much more of an impact there on more people. Who actually probably even needed it more, too. So,
probably.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Yeah. Well, so because of that, I applaud you for what you're doing, and that's something that I always look up to about you too, is your impact that you're making and the things that you're doing, and then again being a dad and a future husband, and it's hard to juggle that. I get that, but you've really committed to that, and you've been really successful at it. So thank you for being a part of this, because this is what it's about. Right? You have truly found success in really those areas, and people even myself look up to you. I've always been that way, and obviously I grew up with you playing basketball. I've seen that aspect of you too. But to see where you are now, it's really cool. And
I think that's cool too, is especially that's something I don't take lightly, and think it's an honor. But I realize that there's a lot of people, people will message me and say I really like what you do in the community. Again, how can I get involved, or yada yada yada. So it's those things do also kind of drive me as well. Which is going to be the same thing for you, and especially even more so, being a minority business owner, right? Now you're going to have other minorities, young minorities that are looking at you looking at man, you're killing it, because you're killing it. So you really are. So it's I think that's cool, because now you see others are looking up to you, and you give others hope and inspiration. He wasn't born rich, out on, and he made it. So it's we also just, I think, keeping that in the back of our mind, and I think that's extra motivation too.
To second that too, I feel again, we live in a predominantly cultured place, of minorities, and that's something that I feel there's not many of those either, to where so minorities and then people of faith, right? People think they're either whether you're a minority or you have some religious background, like you can't like develop this business that does millions, right? Like, And I really do want to detach from that and think like, no, like you can. Here's kind of the system to where like you can still have a solid foundation at home and in your faith, and like be really successful.
Absolutely.
Many people like that look like us. I mean, you just don't see a ton of them that are doing that. And so I hope to be an inspiration to people too. Not exactly why I do it, but I hope that. Well, I guess part of it is why I do it to help educate and I don't know, just to give people other examples. And it's pretty cool because again, I'm sure you may not have had people that you looked up to that look like you or doing what you're doing. So it's pretty cool to.
Yeah, no, I remember when I started, there was like someone told me, "Oh, you're gonna do real estate. It's gonna be hard for a black person to be a successful real estate agent in Yakima." Yeah, they told me that, and that like always kind of just stood in my mind and was a driver. Trying to make it to the top. So absolutely. Yeah, that's the truth, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, Drew, where can they find you online? Are you on Instagram or TikTok? What do you on? I'm
on Instagram. I don't got no TikTok, man. I don't TikTok. I never got it. I never wanted to get stuck on the swipe. But I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and I honestly don't know my handler on Instagram. But if you type in Drew Harris, it should pop up. I don't know how many there are of those.
Well, Drew, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it. The conversation was great. So you guys go follow Drew. Go find out what he's doing, and thanks again for coming, and we'll see you next one.
Thank you.